Hello everyone and welcome back to another absurd heroine video. So we are going to be continuing our Zendikar Rising. Zendikar Rising, not Zendikar Arising. I feel like I always say that. We're going to be continuing our Zendikar Rising preview or review of all of the cards here, starting with black now. So let's just get started right away because the last video took forever, and I'm gonna try and make this one a little bit shorter. I'm not helping by the rambling right here right now, but you know, we'll see. We'll see if I can do that. Okay, Acquisitions Expert, a 1/2 human rogue for 2. When Acquisitions Expert enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals a number of cards from their hand equal to the number of creatures in your party. Choose one of those cards and that player discards those cards. Yeah, I think this is good for party, right? Choose one of those cards, the player discards the card. For target opponent reveals a number of cards and you can choose one of those cards. So this is including lands. Like, you can target lands with this, which is rare. Hand hate for like getting rid of lands is rare, but your opponent gets to save the best of the cards, right? They give you what they want you to see, but it's still hand hate on top of that. So I think this is pretty good, actually. I think this is pretty good in party deck. I mean, it might even be pretty good just in a rogue deck. I like it. I like it. We'll see. Agadeem's Awakening. X sorcery for X black. Return target creature. Return from your graveyard to the battlefield any number of target creature cards that each have a different converted mana cost, X or less. This seems bonkers to me. This seems very, very, very strong, right? Because you could return like an Uru, a slime, and like, I don't know, what does it matter? Something else that's also amazing to the battlefield. Like, I mean, obviously, okay, so no, you can't really return an Uru. You could, but it would die right away. You'd have to sacrifice it right away because you didn't escape it, but this seems very, very strong to me. I think this is excellent. And on top of that, it's on a land that you can that comes into play untapped. Like, this just seems, this card seems dumb. Like, I think it's good. Very good. Okay. Anyway. A Black Bloom Rogue. 2/3 human rogue for 3. Menace. Black Bloom Rogue gets +3/+0 as long as an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard. So this could be, you know, a 5/3 for 3. Menace. Like, this seems like very strong in the rogue deck, and on top of that, it's attached to a land. It's a good card. It's a good card. I feel like you put 4 of these in the rogue deck. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Blood Beckoning, a sorcery for 1, kicker 3. When return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. If the spell was kicked, instead return 2 target creature cards from graveyards to your hand. Seems kind of bad. Seems kind of bad. Might be alright. No. There's too many other things that kind of do the same thing that are just better than this, because it returns it to the battlefield instead of, you know, like this. It just like returns it to the battlefield instead of to your hand. So, I mean, it's cheap, but I don't think it's good. Blood Price, a sorcery for 4. Look at the top 4 cards of your library, put 2 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. You lose 2 life. I don't think that's good. Very, very expensive sorcery, like, it's more limited fluff, and even so, I don't even think this is played in limited. A garbage card. Alright, so Bloodchief's Thirst, a sorcery for 1, kicker 3. Destroy target creature or planeswalker with converted mana cost 2 or less. If the spell was kicked, instead destroy target creature or planeswalker. Yeah. I think that's okay. I think this is fine. In kicker, like, not even just in kicker decks, I think this is actually, like, pretty good. Depending on power level of creatures that are converted mana cost 2 or less, which I think is pretty good at the moment. Doesn't kill an Uro, but I think it kills a lot of good stuff. Yeah, I think this is a fine card. Coveted Prize. This spell costs, or a sorcery for 5, and the spell costs 1 less for each creature in your party. Search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. And if you have a full party, you may cast a spell with converted mana cost 4 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. This is a very good card. If party is good, this is an excellent card. This gets a Winota and casts it immediately. You search your library for Winota, just like bring it out and cast it immediately. Like, that seems bonkers to me. But who knows? Like, party seems really fragile, right? To have a full party, how hard is it to have a full party? That is the question. And if it's not that hard, then this card is fucking amazing. Because it's 1 black mana, get a Winota, put it on the battlefield. Oof. That's good. I hate it. Alright. Deadly Alliance. An instant for 5. This spell costs 1 less for each creature in your party. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. I mean, this is good if party is good. I'm gonna be saying that a lot. It's good if party is good. Demon's Disciple. A 3/1 human cleric for 3. When Demon's Disciple enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Yeah, so this is kind of like Plague Crafter. This is weaker Plague Crafter. I think this is fine. I think this is a fine card. Is it going to be in like a bunch of meta decks? No. Is it a good card? Yeah. No, it's pretty good. Especially if you build around this kind of stuff. So, yeah. Drana the Last Blood Chief. A 4/4 vampire cleric for 5. Drana, by the way, is also, well, I mean, she's legendary, right? So obviously she's a character in the lore, but she's pretty badass. Flying. Whenever Drana the Last Blood Chief attacks, defending player chooses a non-legendary creature card in your graveyard. Return that card to the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. The creature is a vampire in addition to its other types. It's weird that you don't get to choose. I mean, maybe that would be too powerful. Defending player gets to choose the creature. But this is a bomb. Like, this is a limited bomb. And if you're playing a cleric deck, like a sacrifice cleric deck with, like, you know, village rites and stuff like that, you have, like, you pretty much want every creature back into the battlefields, you know, that you have in your graveyard. So this is a good card. This is a great card. I'm gonna be playing with this in my cleric deck or my vampire deck or whatever. Like, this is good. It's good. All right. Drana's Silencer, a 3/2 vampire rogue for 6. Ouch. When Drana's Silencer enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls gets -X in turn, where X is the number of creatures in your party. Well, that's garbage. Nobody's ever playing this card, ever. Way too expensive. Way too expensive. All right. Way too expensive to give somebody possibly -1/-1. A 3/2 for 6. Give something -1/-. Ugh. Gross. Okay. Anyway. Dreadworm. A 5/4 worm horror for 5. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, Dreadworm gains indestructible and silent. Bad. Limited fine. Like, actually pretty good limited card, but bad everywhere else. Expedition Skulker, a 2/2 vampire rogue for 2. Expedition Skulker has death touch as long as you control another rogue. It's not bad. I just think that there are way too many better rogues for this to be good. Yeah. So sorry, Expedition Skulker. You want to be good, but I just don't think you are. Okay. Feed the Swarm, a sorcery for 2. Destroy target creature or enchantment an opponent controls. You lose life equal to that permanent's converted mana cost. This is a great card, but like, what the fuck? Like, enchantment removal in black. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right at all. There's only been like one other card that's done that. There's less than cards than you have fingers on one hand, depending on what kind of person you are. Depending on what has happened in your life. Yeah. Weird. Just weird. Because Wizards of the Coast has very specific... Magic the Gathering has very specific things that belong in every single color, and enchantment removal does not belong in black. So they're trying to expand black's ability to deal with stuff. That's not the way that the game should work. I'm not gonna say I like this. I don't mind it happening once in a blue moon, and it's been a very long time, and it's very, very rare, but I don't like it. Like enchantment removal. But anyway. Ghastly Gloomhunter, a 1/1 zombie bat for 2. with kicker, flying lifelink. If Ghastly Gloom Hunter was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. That's awful. That's awful. Like, if you're gonna spend 6 mana on something, you don't want it to be a 3/3 flying lifelinker. Like, you just don't. Ugh. Ah, bad. It's bad. This is a bad card. Sorry. Sorry, but it is. Ghoul-Draz Mucklord. A 2/3 crocodile for 3. When Ghoul-Draz Mucklord dies, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. And it's fine and limited. Garbage everywhere else. Alright. Hagra Constrictor. It's a snake. I love snakes. Okay. A 0/0 snake for 3. Hagra Constrictor enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it, and each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has menace. That's cool. I don't think that +1/+1 counter decks are going to be running or going to be black at all, but I do like this. This seems cool to me. I don't think it's good. It's not in the right colors. Even if it was in the right colors, I don't think it would. There you go. Sorry, Hagra Constrictor. I'm saying sorry a lot. Okay. Hagra Mauling. An instant for 4. This spell costs 1 less to cast if an opponent controls no basic land. That's interesting. That is an interesting thing to say. I don't know how often that's going to happen. Destroy target creature. That seems kind of bad, actually. If it could target planeswalkers also, then it would probably be better. But it's attached to a land, so it's fine. I think this is good. I think this is good only because it's attached to a land. But it's way overcosted for what it does. And it's got this weird conditional that you cannot rely on in any way, shape, or form. So you know what? This is not good. This is meh. Which makes me really sad. This is meh. And it's like a rare, so I really understand. This should be 3, right? It should be 1 colorless black, and then still have the rest of this. Right? Because this is just not better than a Murderous Rider. Like, this is not better than a murder. This is not better than a murder. Like a shitty murder with a land attached to it. So, like, okay. And it's only okay because it's got a land on it. Highborn Vampire. A 4/3 Vampire Warrior for 4. Okay. Limited fluff. Inscription of Ruin. A sorcery for 3 with kicker 4. Choose 1. If the spell was kicked, choose any number instead. Okay, so target opponent discards 2 cards. The Mind Rot. Return target creature card with converted mana cost 2 or less from graveyard to the battlefield. That's a pretty good one. Destroy target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less. Okay, so what's this? Eliminate? So it's a bad eliminate. It's a Mind Rot. This one in the middle isn't that bad. And then you can get all of them for 7, which is gross. Grossly overcosted. This is grossly overcosted. But if you do kick it, that's like, I guess. And it's a sorcery, which I suppose is okay. But yeah, I don't. It'll probably go in a kicker spell, a kicker deck. If my kicker deck ends up being black, which probably won't end up happening, then I suppose this would go in it. Because it's not bad. It's not that bad. The kicker is so expensive. Yeah, I don't know. That's a big if. It's meh. This is a meh card. Very meh. Okay. Lithoform Blight. An aura for 2. Enchant land. When Lithoform Blight enters the battlefield, draw a card. Enchanted land loses all land types and abilities and has add colorless. Pay 1 life, add 1 mana of any color. This seems pretty good, honestly. There's lots of there's lots of people who would want to put this on your own land, and there's lots of people who don't want you to put this on their lands. So seems decent. Seems decent, but specific. I do like the fact that you draw a card from it. So I think you might see some of this. We'll see. Most likely people will put it on their own land. That's my guess. That is my guess. Okay, anyway. Malakir Blood Priest. A 2/1 Vampire Cleric for 2. When Malakir Blood Priest enters the battlefield. Each opponent loses X life, and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures in your party. So that would be 4, up to 4, right? One of each. So opponent could lose X4 and you gain 4. So that's like not that bad. Yeah, I think it's alright. Once again, we'll have to see if party's good. Okay, Malachar Rebirth, an instant for 1. Choose target creature. You lose 2 life. Until end of turn, that creature gains. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. Interesting. That is an interesting card. Because it's... I'm sure you could do some pretty good, cool shenanigans with this. Like, Village Rites. You target this with the creature that you're going to be sacrificing with Village Rites. And then you sacrifice that creature and it comes back. I don't know. Seems interesting. Seems like a very interesting card. And the fact that it's attached to the land, to a land, just makes it even more versatile. I feel like there's something to do. There is something here. I feel like there's something here that my brain is just not attaching to, but it could. This seems very useful in some way, shape, or form. Marauding Blight Priest, a 3/2 vampire cleric for 3. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. Yeah, this seems like it belongs in that cleric deck. I feel like the cleric deck is gonna have lots of life gain in it, and I feel like this has a place in that. It might be low on the list, but I think it is on the list. Mind Carver. When Mind Carver enters the battlefield, oh, I'm sorry. Equipment for 1 black. When Mind Carver enters the battlefield, attached to target creature you control, same as all other equipment in the set. Equipped creature gets +1/+0, and it has +3/+1 instead, as long as the opponent has 8 or more cards in the graveyard. Yeah, I mean, there's a rogue deck. The rogue mill deck wants this in it, probably. There might be better things to put in than this, but I think there are a number of creatures that are unblockable, a number of rogues that become unblockable at some point, and if that's the case, then Mind Carver will go in there. It definitely has a good mana cost, like, for 1. Seems good. Seems pretty good to me. Right. Mind Drain. Sorcery for 3. Target opponent discards 2 cards, mills a card, and loses 1 life. You gain 1 life. Oh man, this is like rumors. This is... So I had a pet card in my rogue deck, my Dimir / mill rogue deck, Thieves Guild Enforcer deck. Anyway, that I absolutely loved, but this is just too expensive. Each opponent discards 2 cards, mills a card, loses 1 life. This seems really expensive for that. I don't think you'll see it. I think you'll see this anywhere, which is unfortunate. I wish this was 2. Discarding 1 card, right? Or, you know, it should be 1, really. This should be my Vicious Rumors. I love Vicious Rumors. Anyway, Nighthawk Scavenger, a 1+X, a 3 vampire rogue for 3. Flying Death Touch lifelink. Nighthawk Scavenger, Scavenger's power is equal to 1 plus the number of card types among cards in your opponent's graveyards. Cool. Flying Death Touch lifelink. That's what you like to see. So, in the mill decks, you're gonna see a lot of stuff. I mean, escape is... So, mill and escape are at odds, right? Because you're gonna be milling a lot of stuff, and people will be able to escape the stuff using what you've milled, and then getting rid of the stuff that's in the graveyard so that you don't get to turn on all of this stuff that needs stuff in your opponent's graveyards, right? So... I don't think it's gonna be that good so long as you don't have very specific ways of getting rid of those escape cards from graveyards, and that does exist, so I'm sure that the rogue decks that deal with this kind of stuff will have those cards in it. Like Remorse, I think Agonizing Remorse is one of them, that kind of stuff, so... it seems good, it wants to be good, but if you don't have those ways of getting rid of the creatures that you have milled, or the things that you have milled, that kind of mess with the synergy, then it's not as good as I want it to be. But this is still really good. This card, Nighthawk Scavenger, belongs in that rogue deck. 100%. Good. Good card. Namana Skittersneak. I like that name. It's a Skittersneak. A 3/4 human rogue. Oh, okay, so it's the human, not the creature. Okay, got it. Got it. So a 3/4 human rogue for 4. As long as an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, Nimana Skid or Sneak gets +1/+0 and has Menace. No. I don't think it's good. It's not bad in limited, as per usual. Limited fluff, I think. Nimana Skydancer, a 2/1 human rogue for 3, flash flying. When Nimana Skydancer enters the battlefield, target opponent mills 2 cards. Too expensive. Too expensive, too weak. But it's not... It wants to be good. If this was 1 less mana, or had 1 more attack or something like that, 1 more power, I feel like it would be okay. But this is just... it's too underpowered for it to be good. Null Priest of Oblivion. A 2/1 vampire cleric for 2 with kicker, menace, lifelink. When Null Priest of Oblivion enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, return target creature card from your graveyard. That's expensive. That's pretty darn expensive. But it is a cleric. It is a vampire. Those are not for nothing. And it's a menace lifelinker with those types. It's a menace lifelinker with those creature types for 2. So I think just by itself, without the kicker stuff, it seems okay, right? So does this make it into your cleric deck? Does this make it into your vampire deck? I think so. I think so. Yeah. Do you want it in any other kind of deck? I don't think so. I mean, but this could be an Aluros deck, right? I don't think you can kick stuff. Can you kick stuff? If this is an Aluros deck and you can cast it from your graveyard using Aluros, can you kick it? I don't think you can. I don't think you're allowed to. But that would be cool if you were. That would be amazing if you were, I guess. I don't know. I think it does go in your vampire deck. I think it does go in your cleric deck, but other than that, I don't think. So kind of okay. Okay, it's an okay card. Oblivion's Hunger, an instant for 2. Target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. Draw a card if that creature has a +1/+1 counter on it. Another +1/+1 counter black card. Like black is borrowing a number of things from Celestia right here. I don't think +1/+1 counter like decks have black. Like maybe it's absent, maybe they're absent now, but I don't think the black cards that synergize with +1/+1 counters are good enough to add a new color into it for, you know, I don't know. This is kind of weird. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good specifically because it's in the wrong color. I think it would be good if this was a green card, if this was a white card, I think it would be great. But since it's black, I think it's bad. Alright, Palaka Predation, a sorcery for 3. Target opponent reveals their hand, you choose a card from it with a converted mana cost 3 or greater, and that player discards that card. That seems weird, but it's attached to a land, so it's great. I think this card's fine. Just fine. Is it the best one? No. This is very strange. Converted mana cost 3 or greater? Like, if that conditional wasn't there, then I believe this would be way better. But the conditional is there, so it's very strange. But it's attached to a land, so therefore it's not bad. Oh yeah. Scion of the Swarm. A 3/3 vampire cleric for 5. That's an ouch. Flying. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Scion of the Swarm. I don't think this is good. I mean, it's too expensive. This is really, really, really expensive. Are some people going to put it in their vampire cleric life gain decks? Sure. You'll probably see it. And is it going to be a problem? Yeah. Because it's a big beefy dude who gets +1/+1. But it's not like an aerialist, right? Aerialist, like a shitty aerialist. And did people play with aerialist? Sure, they played with aerialist. It's a bad card. Good and limited. Bad and constructed. Scourge of the Skyclaves. An XX demon for 2. Kicker for 5. Whenever you cast the spell, if it was kicked, each player loses half their life rounded up. Scourge of the Skyclaves' power and toughness are each equal to 20 minus the highest life total among players. Interesting. I think this is a good card. This is a great card. Without the kicker, right? You kind of... I don't know how often you're gonna kick this card, but without the kicker, this is awesome. Yeah. I like it. I like it a lot. That doesn't have any kind of evasion. Like, I feel like all demons should have flying, but it doesn't. So, I don't know. That's actually kind of important. It doesn't have evasion of any kind. So it's just, but I mean, it's only 2, right? Only 2. So I feel like this is good. This is a good card because of how cheap it is for what it could be, right? So this could be like a 10-10 for 2. Pretty easily. So yeah, black aggro. This goes in black aggro, like whoa. Yeah. Okay. Shadow Stinger, a 1/4 vampire rogue for 3. Tap another untapped rogue you control. Shadow Stinger gains death touch until end of turn. Whenever Shadow Stinger deals combat damage to a player, that player mills 3 cards. It's okay. It's kind of expensive. Kind of weak. I don't know. It's not the worst, but it's also not the best. It's like, it's pretty far down on the rogue list. So, yeah. Shadow's Verdict, a sorcery for 5. Exile all creatures and planeswalkers with converted mana cost 3 or less in the battlefield, and all creature and planeswalker cards with converted mana cost 3 or less from all graveyards. Wait, what? That's good. This is a good card. This is like, get rid of Uro. Get rid of Uro across the entire playing field right now. So, I think this is fine. Sideboard card? Yeah, sideboard card. Really good sideboard card. Skyclave Shade. Or maybe just like black control. Anything control with black in it? Yeah. Skyclave Shade. A 3/1 for 2. Kicker for 3. Skyclave Shade can't block. If it was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Okay. So that could be a 5/3 for 5? That's okay. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if Skyclave Shade is in your graveyard from your turn, you may cast it from your graveyard this turn. This seems good. This seems like a really good card for those kind of decks that want this interaction. The ones that want Gutter Boneses and Wandering Shades or whatever they're called. Yeah, I think this is just another solid addition to that kind of deck. Skyclave Shadowcat, a 3/3 cat horror for 4. Tap 2, sacrifice another creature, put a +1/+1 counter on Skyclave Shadowcat. Whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter when it dies, draw a card. There's more +1/+1 counter synergy. Interesting. Okay. I think this is bad. This is a bad card. It's too expensive to, you know, sacrifice. You tap 2 to sacrifice another creature to put a +1/+1 counter on it. Like, ugh. That seems bad to me. This drawing a card bit is pretty important. Is this good enough to add black into your Celestia +1/+1 counter deck? I think so. Actually. I think so. This is board wipe protection, right? I'd have to play around with that, but that seems pretty strong. That seems pretty strong board wipe protection against +1/+1 counter deck. A little expensive. If this was a little bit cheaper, I would be more comfortable. But yeah. Okay, Soul Shatter. An instant for 3. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker with the highest converted mana cost among creatures and planeswalkers they control. Interesting. Is this good? No? I don't think so. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker with a high mana cost. This seems bad. In what scenario would this be good for you? Because it's not just sacrifice anything, it's sacrifice your highest costed thing. Which, I mean, if you're like a weenie deck, that probably wouldn't be so bad. But that still seems kind of bad to me. I don't know. I don't think this seems good. Let me know if you think that this is good, because this does not seem good to me. Alright. Subtle Strike. An instant for 2. Choose one or both. Target creature gets -1/-1, or put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. I guess you're making your +1/+1 counter an absent deck? Like, this seems okay. It's an instant that puts a +1/+1 counter on a target creature. So this isn't a bad combat trick for a counter deck. Seems weird that it's not green. I feel like this should be a green card. But maybe you put Abzan in your counter deck. But that's the only place it goes, right? So this is not bad in limited. It's actually pretty good in limited. This is a great combat trick for limited. But for constructed, it only goes in a counter deck. And do you make your counter deck Abzan? It's kind of looking that way a little bit. A couple more cards like that. Oh, but we're at the very end of black here, so I don't know. I still don't know. Taborax, Hope's Demise. A 2/2 Demon Cleric for 3. Flying. Taborax, Hope's Demise has lifelink as long as it has 5 or more +1/+1 counters on it. Okay. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Taborax. If that creature was a cleric, you may draw a card. If you do, you lose 1 life. Wow. This is a good card for your cleric deck. I like it. I like it a lot. The +1/+1 counter synergy bit is weird. But, like I said, because it's just weird. Like, okay, so maybe you're... How many clerics are there in green? See, this is weird. This is in an awkward spot, because this wants to be in a +1/+1 counter deck, which is Celestia. And then it wants to be in a cleric deck, which is Orzhov. Right? So, like, I don't think there are any clerics in green. If there are, it's very few clerics that are in green. And there's very few +1/+1 synergy in black. So, where does this go? I guess it goes... Okay, so this probably just goes into an Orzhov life gain cleric deck. I think that's what it is. I think clerics are Orzhov life gain, and Conclave Mentor be damned. Because this deck wants Conclave Mentor in it. Like, so maybe you splash green for Conclave Mentor? I don't know, man. Definitely requires some playing around, but I do really like this card. And I do really like clerics. I'm excited. It's one of the archetypes that I'm most excited for, cleric. So, yeah. It's a good card. It's just a little awkward. It's just in a little awkward spot. So anyway. Thwart the Grave. Sorcery for 6. This spell costs 1 less for each creature in your party. Return target creature card and up to 1 target cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, if party is good, this card is awesome. Because this is for 2, put 2 creature cards onto the battlefield. That's amazing. Yeah, so if party is good, this card is amazing. Right? I mean, even if you're just playing like a cleric deck. If you're just playing a cleric deck, this is get 2 creature cards from your graveyard and put them onto the battlefield for 5. That seems good to me. This seems strong. Nice artwork too. Vanquish the Weak. An instant for 3. Destroy target creature with power 3 or less. I don't think there's way better removal. Good and limited though. Good and limited. Alright. Zoff Consumption. Sorcery for 6. Each opponent loses 4 life and you gain 4 life. That's awesome. Like, this is great because it's attached to a land. Right? So, you have one of these out, and then you just play that bird that returns creatures, that returns lands to your hand, or play Shepherd of the Flock, you know, to bounce this land back to your hand so that you can play it when your opponent only has 4 life or whatever. Like, this seems fine. Is it amazing? No. Is it good? Yeah. Yes. This is a good card. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that. It seems it's a little bit on the underpowered side for these dual face cards, but it's still good. It still seems good because it's on a freaking land. Ugh. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. So let's do the red. These videos are gonna end up being a little bit long. I'm trying to go through it fast, but I'm just not. It's not happening. I just have too much to say. So I apologize, but hey, you're here listening to me, so obviously you want to hear what I have to say, so I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna make it a little long, and whatever. Okay. Akum Hellhound. A 0/1 elemental dog for 1. Landfall. When a land enters the battlefield under your control, Akum Hellhound gets +2/+2 until end of turn. I don't know. Seems pretty okay, but there might be better cards. Like, it seems that Gruul Landfall is going to be a deck, right? Gruul Landfall aggro is going to be a deck. Is this dog in it? Probably. This dog is probably in it. I haven't seen any other 1 casting cost spells that are really good. There's that other one, the 2/2 for 1, right? But that one returns lands to your hand, so yeah. Okay, I think this isn't in it. This is in it with the other one, and it's got landfall synergy, and there's just nothing that costs more than 2 or 3. Yeah, this is a good card. I think we'll be seeing it. I think we'll be seeing it. Akuma Warrior, a 4/5 for 6. Minotaur Warrior for 6. Trample. On a land, right? So this probably goes in your warrior deck. Because why the fuck would you not put it in your warrior deck? It's a warrior. That's also just happens to be on a land. Like, this is just seems good. Good. Alright. Ardent Electromancer. A human wizard, a 3/2 human wizard for 3. When Ardent Electromancer enters the battlefield, add red for each creature in your party. Sure. Seems good, I think. That seems good, right? I mean, it's only red mana, but if party is good, this card seems good. But yeah, if party is good, this seems good. I'll leave it at that. We'll just have to wait and see. Cinderclasm, an instant for 2. Kicker for 1 red. Cinderclasm deals 1 damage to each creature, and if it was kicked, it deals 2 damage to each creature instead. That's a good kicker card. This is a good kicker card, right? An instant. This is like what was it? The one that just rotated out, I think. This is better. This is well casted. Well costed. Well costed kicker spell. So good. Excellent. Fine. That is a fine card. Cleansing Wildfire. Sorcery for 2, destroy target land. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it into the battlefield tapped, excuse me, then shuffle their library, draw a card. This seems good too. Especially with all the dual-face land cards. The players might not actually have very many basic lands anymore, honestly. I don't know if anybody's going to be playing basic lands at all. Maybe a couple. So this seems good. 2 mana, destroy a land. Possibly don't give them another one. Seems good. And draw a card on top of that. I like it. I like it. Expedition Champion. A 2/3 human warrior for 3. Expedition Champion gets +2/+0 as long as you control the warrior. Standard fluff. I'm sorry. Limited fluff, I think. There are just way better warriors than this. This is kind of a shit warrior. Fellblade Charger. A 1/1 for 1. Goblin Warrior for 1. As long as Fellblade Charger is equipped, it has haste. When Fireblade Charger dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. So, speaking of better warriors, this is a great warrior. This goes in your warrior equipment deck, and I will be making a warrior equipment deck, and this will have 4 of them in it. Great card. Very, very good. Okay. Fisher Wizard. It might even go well in, like, just mono red, honestly. Fisher Wizard. A 2/1 Goblin Wizard for 2. Kind of a cute card. Little wizard. When Fisher Wizard enters the battlefield, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. Not good. That does not seem good. Even in a wizard deck. Maybe in a goblin deck? Not even in a goblin deck. There's just way better goblins. Sorry. Okay. Goma Fata Vanguard. 2/2 human warrior for 2. When Goma Fata Vanguard attacks, target creature an opponent controls with power less than or equal to the number of warriors you control can't block this turn. It's not bad costed. It's a human warrior bear that has extra stuff going on. I don't know. I feel like there's better warriors. I don't think you want this in your warrior deck. No. Nope. I don't think is good. Limited, if you have like a good warrior pile, this is one of the warriors, then you put it in your limited deck. That's about it. Grotag Bugcatcher. A 1/2 Goblin Warrior for 2. Trample. When Grotag Bugcatcher attacks, it gets +1/+0 until it enters a creature in your party. I don't think it's good, not even for a party deck. Sorry. Grotag Night Runner. A 2/3 Goblin Rogue for 3. When Grotag Night Runner enters, deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of your library, and you may play that card this turn. That's cool. I like that. Is it good? I don't know. Inordinate Rage. An instant for 2. Target creature gets +3/+2 until end of turn, scry 1. So this might go into like wizard aggro decks or something along those lines. Other than that, we won't see. Targan Intimidator. A 3/1 human warrior for 2. Cowards can't block warriors. And for 1, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. It gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Target creature becomes a coward until end of turn, and target warrior gains trample until end of turn. I don't think this is very good. Oh, whoa. Sorry. The sun is coming through. Pretty strong right here. There we go. Yeah, I don't think that this is very good. I just think that there are better warriors. I mean, it's cheap and it does a lot of stuff. But that stuff that it does is not awesome. So, I mean, if you have like a warrior deck, then there's one creature that can't block any of your warriors, which seems cool. So maybe it makes it into a warrior deck. Maybe I'm not giving it enough credit. But just on the surface level of it, I don't think that it is good. This doesn't seem very good. But we'll see. Playtesting. We'll have to playtest this one. Kazul's Fury, an instant for 3. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Kazul's Fury deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to any target. This is awesome. This is an awesome card because it's attached to a land. Like, this goes into all of your aggro decks. All of them, I feel. I mean, yeah, pretty much. I feel like this goes into all your aggro decks. Pretty good. Leyline Tyrant, a 4/4 dragon for 4. Flying. You don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. When Leyline Tyrant dies, you may pay any amount of red, and when you do, it deals that much damage to any target. Oh my god. When it dies? Okay, so this card is super cool. I don't know how good this card is, but this card is very cool. So it is a 4/4 flyer for 4, which is amazing. And then you don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. That seems really strong to me. Like, that alone seems strong. And then when it dies, you can pay any amount of red. So like, you don't want to kill this thing because then this seems really good. I like it. I like it a lot, and I feel like this is gonna be the top end mono red, maybe? Mono red top end. So this could make it into the meta, but it's definitely gonna make it into the jank. I can guarantee you that. It'll make its way into the jank. Alright. Magmatic Channeler, a 1/3 human wizard for 2. As long as there are 4 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, it gets +3/+1. Okay. Discard a card, exile the top 2 cards from your library, and then choose one of them, and you may play that card this turn. Wow. Exile the top 2 cards of your library, choose one of them, you may play that card this turn. So then the other one's just like exiled forever? Okay. This still seems strong. And this is like a 4/4 human wizard for 2, which is very strong. So this is a good card. This is a good card, and it goes into wizard decks, and it goes into sorcery and instant decks, which I feel like are going to be wizard decks right now after the set comes out. So pretty good card, I'd say. Molten Blast, an instant for 3. Choose one. Molten Blast deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker, or destroy target artifact. I don't think this is good enough, personally. I don't think this is pretty good. I don't think this is good. Morag, Fury of Akum, a 6/6 warrior, minotaur warrior for 6. Each creature you control gets +1/+0 for each time it has attacked this turn. Landfall. When a land enters the battlefield under your control of its main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase, and at the beginning of that combat, untap all creatures you control. This seems expensive. But this also seems really good. So Landfall is looking to be Gruul. There looks to be like a Gruul Landfall aggro deck, and I feel like this is the top end. This seems to be like the top end of that deck, because once this enters the battlefield, it's kind of just like over the next turn, or that turn, maybe, if you haven't put down a land yet, but it's just expensive, right? So that's turn 7. I mean, maybe the Gruul decks have some ramp in it or something. I'm not quite sure. Like, this seems very good, but it also might just be too expensive. Yeah. So we'll have to see. We'll have to play test with it. I do like it though. If it's not in like a Gruul aggro deck, that's cool. And it's definitely in some jank deck. That is also very cool. So we'll see. Nahiri's lithoforming. Speaking of jank, right? X, red, sorcery. Sacrifice X lands. For each land sacrificed this way, draw a card. Then you may play X additional lands this turn. Lands you control enter the battlefield, tap this turn. Like, so you cast a Fury of Akum. Oh man. So if you had the Leyline Dragon, right? Then you cast Morag with the extra mana, red mana that you have. And then you can Nahiri's lithoforming to just sacrifice a ton of lands and then hopefully draw a bunch of lands and play those lands just to like get in and I don't know. There's some cool synergies going on here. Whether they're good or not, I'm not 100% sure. But it does tickle my brain. So I am interested to see how this is gonna go. But I'm not sure if it's good. Not sure if it's good. Fun? Yes. Good? Maybe. Okay, Pyroclastic Hellion. A 4/5 Hellion. Usually Hellions suck. Let's find out if this one does too. So for 5, when Pyroclastic Hellion enters the battlefield, you may return a land you control to its owner's hand. And when you do, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. Interesting. So this is the second thing that has this on it. Return a land you control to its owner's hand. So it's this and the bird, and that's all that I've seen so far. This is a bad card. Just like the bird. Just like the bird, this is a bad card, but it's got very good text on it. So it's just too expensive. It's too expensive. Way, way, way too expensive. So I don't think this is going to be played with at all. I don't think you're going to see this Hellion at all. This is so standard, limited fluff. This is limited fluff. Good limited fluff, but other than that, it's bad. Relic Robber. A Goblin Rogue. A 2/2 Goblin Rogue for 3. Haste. Whenever a Relic Robber deals combat damage to a player, that player creates a 0/1 colorless Goblin Construct artifact creature token with this creature can't block. And at the beginning of your upkeep, this creature deals 1 damage to you. So that's hilarious. I like it. I mean, I'm not sure how good it is. It's probably garbage. Like, let's be real. This is probably a garbage card, but it is a fun garbage card. So I'll probably find a way of... I'm going to try and find a way to abuse this. Rockslide Sorcerer. A 3/3 human wizard for 4. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery or wizard card spell, Rockslide Sorcerer deals 1 damage to any target. That sounds good, but expensive. I think it's too expensive to be good. This is like the wall, the 0/4 wall that had the same exact text, except for this now has wizard on it too. Electrostatic field or whatever. And that was for 2. And it was kind of playable. So I don't think this is a bad card to me. Wants to be good, isn't. Royal Eruption, a sorcery for 2 with kicker of 5. Ouch. Royal Eruption deals 3 damage to any target. If the spell was kicked, it deals 5 damage instead. Like, this is 7 mana, deal 5 damage. That's awful. That's awful. But it is a 2 mana, deal 3 damage to any target, which is not awful. But that's a sorcery. Do wizard spells, like the spells deck play this? Do spells deck play this card? It is any target, so that seems okay. I think it does. I think they do play this and kick only if like absolutely necessary or might end the game, right? 5 damage to the face. Like, a Lava Axe is not a bad spell in certain decks. So it's a very expensive Lava Axe. But that, you know, who cares if it's 7 mana if you have it and it kills your opponent, right? If it wins you the game. So I guess spells decks do play this. Yeah. Okay, spells decks play this. Okay, Roiling Vortex, an enchantment for 2. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, Roiling Vortex deals 1 damage to them. Whenever a player casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast that spell, Roiling Vortex deals 5 damage to that player. Your opponents can't gain life this turn. Ooh. Does this count for copies? I don't think it does. I don't think it counts for copies, right? So, like, Lucky, this does not deal damage to players who play Lucky Clover, right? I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Because they're not casting that spell. They're copies. At what point would this matter? Right now in Standard, when do players cast spells for no mana? Like, Fires doesn't exist? I guess this was their attempt at balancing Fires before they just banned it? I don't know. I mean, it's probably good for, like, burn decks. It's good for burn decks, right? Because it prevents opponents from gaining life, and it just deals damage constantly to them. To you as well, but maybe if that burn deck is black-red, you put that, like, demon in here. There's a deck here with this card, and I'm rambling, but there is a deck. Scavenged Blade. Equipment for 2. When a Scavenged Blade enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control, as is all equipment in the set. Equipped creature gets +2/+0, and no, that's pretty bad. Awful. Marauding Axe or whatever, right? So, limited, maybe. Not even, like, no, I guess since it attaches to target creature control way, then yeah, I think it is limited, but that's it. You're not gonna see it. Even in an equipment deck, you're not gonna see it. Scorch Rider, a 4/3 human rider for 4, kicker for 2. When Scorch Rider enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, it gains haste until end turn. God, so bad. Such a bad card. Kicker, man. Ugh. I want to love Kicker, but man, cards like this just make me not like it. I like the art though. Shatterskull Charger, a 4/3 giant warrior for 3. Kicker 2. Trample, haste. If Shatterskull Charger was kicked, it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. At the beginning of your end step, if Shatterskull Charger doesn't have a +1/+1, turn it to its owner's hand. Interesting. This seems good. This seems good. I feel like there's ways of getting around this +1/+1 counter thing too, maybe. But it doesn't matter. I think it's still just good. Right? Mono red, good, maybe? Full haste. I feel like this could be a problem because it goes back into your hand. So if you don't want to kick it, it's a very inexpensive problem. Very inexpensive threat that you do have to cast every turn, but that might not be the worst thing ever because it also gives the card protection. So I think this is good. I think this card is good. I think you'll see it. How good is it? I'm not sure yet. It does have kicker. It is a warrior, so it's got some synergies with other stuff going on. Like if you have the Warrior Lord, there's a Boros Warrior Lord. So this would be a 5/4 for 3. Trample? That seems strong. Seems like a strong card to me. Alright. Shatterskull Minotaur. A 5/4 Minotaur Warrior for 6. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature in your party. Haste. I mean, if you're casting this for 2, a haste 5/4 for 2 sounds good to me, but is party good? Is it easy to keep party creatures out? I don't know. I don't know. Quite possibly. So, once again, we'll have to wait and see whether the party's good or not. Shatterskull Smashing, a sorcery for X, red. Shatterskull Smashing deals X damage divided as you choose among up to 2 target creatures and planeswalkers, and if X is 6 or more, Shatterskull Smashing deals twice X damage divided as you choose instead. And it's attached to a land that comes into play untapped, I feel like. This card's great. This card's great. This card belongs in every single red deck. Every single one. 4 of in every single red deck. Such a good card. Such a good card. Okay. Sizzling Barrage. Sizzling Barrage deals, an instant for 2. Sizzling Barrage deals 4 damage to target creature that blocked this turn. Seems kind of bad. Maybe red apple, but that just seems bad. It's a lot of damage for 2, but it's too conditional. Right? Target creature that blocked this turn. There's plenty of stuff that you want to get rid of that is not something that your opponent will block with. I don't think this is good limited. Bad everywhere else. Skyclave Geopede. God, I hate you. How creepy that thing is. Like, I love snakes, but man, centipedes? Nah. Nope. Whole lot of nope from me. Okay, so a 3/1 insect for 3. Trample. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, Skyclave Geopede gets +2/+. This is good and limited. Nowhere else, though. Sneaking Guide. A 1/1 Goblin Rogue for 1. For 2, tap this creature. Target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. Bad too. This is bad. Song Mad Treachery. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. And it's attached to a land. Like, it's expensive, right? So this is an expensive card. But it's attached to a land. Like, this seems so good to me. It's such a good card. It's so good. Okay. Spikefield Hazard. An instant for 1. Spikefield Hazard deals 1 damage to any target. If a permanent dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it instead. This is like kind of a bad card, but once again, it's attached to a land. Like, it's a good card. It only deals 1 damage. 1 damage to any target, but it would exile that target. Like, I don't know. It's got some stuff going on for it, but it is attached to a land, so therefore it's playable. This is playable. Just because of that. If you have like a mono red deck that doesn't have any regular lands in it, it just has these spell lands, then this seems fine. It's fine. Bitfire Lagic, a 3/4 lizard for 4. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. I want to like this card. It is too expensive. Like, if what you really want is for this to be 2, and for it to be like a 1/2 instead of a 3/4, and then it would be bonkers, I think. Synchronized Spellcraft. An instant for 5. Synchronized Spellcraft deals 4 damage to target creature and X damage to that creature's controller, where X is the number of creatures in your party. I mean, why does this not cost less for the amount of creatures that you have in your party? I feel like that's what it wants. It wants to be cheaper, to come out cheaper. So it deals 4 damage to target creature, which is awful. Like, a Lava Coil deals 4 damage to target creature, and that costs 2. This costs 5 to deal 4 damage. And up to 4 damage to that creature's controller? This just seems bad. Even in a party deck. Even if party is good, this card's bad. Sorry. But it's true. Teeter Peak Ambusher. A 1/3 Goblin Warrior for 2. For 3, Teeter Peak Ambusher gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Bad card. Limited fluff, maybe. Maybe not even. Thundering Rebuke. A sorcery for 2. Thundering Rebuke deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Yeah, I mean, look at okay, so 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. So this one only targets creatures. This one can target planeswalkers too. Yeah, okay, so you're not dealing damage to your opponent, but if you're getting rid of a creature, then you're just attacking and getting in and dealing the damage to the opponent anyway. Like, this card is garbage, and this one is good. This card is good. It's a good card. Anyway. Thundering Spark Mage, a human wizard for 2/2 human wizard for 4. When Thundering Spark Mage enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to target creature planeswalkers, where X is the number of creatures in your party. I think that's good. This seems good. If party is good, this is good. I like it. Tormenting Voice. Ah yes, Tormenting Voice. Sorcery for 2. As an additional cost to cast the spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards. This is a good card. This is a good card depending on what kind of deck you're playing, obviously. But Tormenting Voice is just fine. It's, there's another card that's exactly this card, except for you discard a card first. Or no, I'm sorry. No, it's an instant. Okay, so, right. So, there's a card that's, in the Throne of Eldraine right now, which is this card exactly, but it's an instant instead of sorcery. So, this is like a worse version of that card. Slightly worse version of that. Okay. Tuk Rubble Fort. A 0/3 wall for 3. Defender, reach, and creatures you control have haste. I mean, this belongs in some decks. There is a deck for this card. Like, is it good? Nah. But is it in some jank deck? There is a jank deck with this card all over it. Valakut Awakening. An instant for 3. Put any number of cards from your hand on the bottom of your library, then draw that many cards +1. And it's attached to a land. Like, this is awesome. This is a great card, 4 of in every red deck. Yep. Valakut Exploration, an enchantment for 3. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, exile the top card of your library, and you may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. At the beginning of your end step, if there are cards exiled with Valakut Exploration, put them into their owner's graveyard, then Valakut Exploration deals that much damage to each opponent. This is an awesome card! Oh, the jank that can be made with this. I'm sure I'm gonna find a way to exploit this card, and it's gonna be awesome, and it's gonna be super fun the whole entire time. I like this card a lot. Is it good? Yes. I actually do think that this card is good. This is a good landfall card. This is in that Gruul landfall deck that I think is going to be a thing. This card's probably in it. Yeah, this is awesome. Good card. Wayward Guide Beast. Speaking of Gruul landfall, it's a 2/2 beast for 1. Trample haste. Whenever Wayward Guide Beast deals combat damage to a player, return a land you control to its hand. I'm pretty sure that this is in the landfall deck, but I'm not sure how good it is yet. I mean, it's a 2/2 for 1, right? So this is an Isamaru that has trample and haste. The only bad thing about it is, of course, you put the lands back into your hand, but that could be a good thing. That could be a benefit instead of a detriment, depending on your deck. I mean, I don't think that you want to get in on it at turn 1. Right? That's probably not what you want, but maybe it is. Like, we'll have to just wait and see how low the converted mana cost is for that deck. All right. So I think we're gonna stop it here, and we'll pick up the next video with green and hopefully just end it. Is that possible? Are we gonna be able to end it? Yeah, we'll be able to end it in the next video, I think. So look for that coming maybe later today or tomorrow, depending on how fast it takes me to do all of this and edit all of them. I'm actually really happy that I'm kind of splitting it up because my brain is mush looking at all these different cards and trying to decide whether they're good or not, because I have some of the cards I haven't even seen before. All right, so with all that rambling out of the way, I'm going to stop it there and we'll pick it up where we left off next time. All right.